Hey, it's James here from Podcast.co, and today I'm here in Soho in central London, joined by Elsie. Hi, Elsie.
Hi.
With our new studio partners, which is Soho Radio. They operate a radio station in the building just around the corner, and they've just opened up these fabulous new podcasting studios, purpose-built, very, very swish indeed, and they're available for hire. So if you want to hire them, then you can email hello@podcast.co and we'll fix you up. So Elsie, I guess start by just explaining the facilities, just talk us through what you've got here.
Yeah, so we have 3 designated podcast studios on Broadwick Street in Soho. There are 2 which can facilitate 4 mics and 1 which can have up to 8 mics. So a kind of round table discussion, which we can have. Yeah.
Great, okay. And you have a background in journalism, you've done a bit of radio. Just tell us about how you kind of got involved in the project and how long, what your kind of day-to-day responsibilities are.
I trained in journalism, but then was working in radio in Melbourne, and continued to do that when I got here in London. I was actually working at the radio station and helping out there for the past year. And when this space opened up, which has only been open for just over 2 months.
Yeah, kind of a month or two. Yeah.
I was brought on board to help manage the studios.
One of the interesting things I think about this is it's you've got the radio station upstairs, which looks really cool, and it kind of attracts people into I guess off the street. People just are kind of wondering curious what's going on.
Yeah.
These days everyone wants to start a podcast, everyone wants to be their own radio DJ, or everyone's getting into DJing in general.
Yeah.
So do you think that has helped in terms of attracting people into the space and kind of opening up the world of radio and podcasting to people?
Yeah, 100%. I think the we've got a big Soho Radio neon sign out the front, like you said, that is kind of smack bang in the middle of that big circus out there on Broadwick Street, which I think really attracts people in. And we do see that there's a bit of flow over from those who are producing on radio and then also wanting to start a podcast as well, which is become a really nice harmony between the two, I guess.
So this brings me to my next question. How do you think podcasting has changed over the past year, 2 years?
Yeah, phenomenally. It's just kind of skyrocketed.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody could have anticipated how much the kind of girl next door, boy next door podcast would have taken off, and how easily accessible it is to everybody now as well. I think in the past, medias like this have kind of had a big barricade against them, and you kind of have to know somebody or be good at something else to kind of get into the industry. But podcasting is something that I guess anybody can kind of take up, and once you figure out the RSS feed, you're kind of on.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to someone who's looking to start a podcast?
Oh, I would say really know exactly the topic and audience that you want to cover, and know who you're talking to, I guess, because there are so many podcasts now. Audiences have kind of just become narrower and narrower, and you really need to know who your audience is so that you can create the content that's really specific for them.
The amount of podcasts that I've seen on our platform who have just kind of done 1 or 2 episodes and, all of a sudden they expect 1 million listeners, which doesn't happen. You have to work at it.
Yeah.
And also make sure you've got, I think, a good kind of cross-platform strategy in place. So, you're promoting it on Twitter, on Facebook, on your website, not just relying on just the traffic you can get from
100%.
iTunes, which maybe you could do a few years ago when there was less competition.
Yeah.
I think it's good to have a sort of strategy in place for that.
I think persistence definitely is key.
Absolutely.
Which is such a cliche, but it's so true. Sophie Hagen actually said that she's more than happy to go on smaller podcasts, but she won't be as a guest, but she won't be a guest on someone that's done less than 25, because the drop-off rate before 25 is just exponential.
That's a very interesting statistic.
Yeah.
I think that's really good advice as well. And also I guess it shows, by the time you got to 25 episodes, it's a good sign that I guess that there's some audience there, at least if you're thinking about being a guest on a podcast. Also it's a great way to promote yourself or promote your business or whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah, definitely.
For anyone who is interested in booking these studios, feel free to drop us an email on hello@podcast.co. There's 3 studios available right here in the heart of Soho. You'll have the pleasure of Elsie welcoming you to them here in Soho. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.